welcome to our Scholar Success and Support Department's open house. My name is Rebecca McAlpine. I have been and will continue to be your host throughout our weeks of welcome sessions. And we are super excited to have both Melissa Mayer and Don Reinders here with us today to go over the super duper helpful information with you all. Throughout today's session, our Zoom permissions will be turned off towards the end. If you are here with us live, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions and get answers here with us now. Of course, if you're watching our recording, thank you so much for joining us via the recording. Also, if you do have those questions come the end of the recording, please don't hesitate to reach out to the contact information that will be shared at the end of today's session. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic off to Melissa, who's going to share with us today. Thanks so much, Melissa. Take it away.
Great. Good morning, everybody. So nice to see you here today. I'm going to go over the agenda first. As always, we will go over our mission and vision statement. I will introduce my team of intervention tutors and resource specialists, provide an overview of the MTSS framework, and then dive deeper into what those academic supports look like here at Compass. After I share some celebrations from last year, I'll turn it over to my colleague Dawn, our Scholar Support Coordinator, who will share about the SST process and Section 504 plans. There will be time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. Our mission and vision are very important to us here at Compass, and since all the information presented today is geared toward your scholar success and sticking to our Compass mission and vision, I think it's important to review these this morning. So our mission is to inspire and develop innovative, creative, self-directed learners, one scholar at a time. The vision is to create an innovative, collaborative learning environment that supports the diverse needs and goals of each scholar, nurtures a love of learning, and prepares them for future success. Also speaking directly to MTSS are our Arctic values: achievement, respect, teamwork, integrity, and communication. Our team displays our Arctic values at every session to remind us all of the expectations we hold for each other. My name is Melissa Mayer, and I'm the Scholar Success Coordinator here at Compass. This is my 5th year in this role, and prior to that, I was still on the Scholar Success team as the reading tutor for middle school and high school scholars. I've been in education for almost 20 years, and education has always been my passion, especially working with scholars who need additional support. I was a fine student, but I really had to work hard to comprehend some of the content. And it's always been my goal to give my scholars the support they want and need, the supports that I wanted and needed in order to fully access their education. Success for scholars is the goal of our team. We work under the MTSS framework, which I'll dive into, and it operates under the belief that all means all. All scholars receive equitable access to their education. So meet our team. Every one of these educators loves her job, and it's very evident in her teaching. Mrs. Fletcher is our elementary math intervention tutor, and Miss Loera is middle school and high school math. Then there's Miss Sylvia for elementary reading intervention tutoring, and Miss Drew for middle school and high school reading intervention tutoring. Our resource specialists are Mrs. Solons for middle school and high school math, Mrs. Darley, who works with our middle school and high school scholars to develop reading comprehension and writing skills, and finally, Mrs. Hillhouse Campisi, who works with lower elementary scholars in foundational literacy skills. Okay, so what is MTSS? It is a multi-tiered system of support. It's systematic, multi-tiered model which targets behavioral, social, emotional, and academic support for scholars prior to a problem. This tiered instruction is differentiated to meet the needs of individual scholars, that one scholar at a time, and it's both academically and behaviorally. MTSS will make all scholars more successful in all areas of school and keep them on track for graduation while preparing them to be college and career ready. In each of these areas, behavioral, social, emotional, and academic, Scholars receive support at various levels based on their needs. The levels are fluid, so some scholars may always only need Tier 1 support. Some may need Tier 2 for a bit to get them through a rough patch, and a few may need intensive support at the Tier 3 level to really help them get back on track. What's beautiful about MTSS is your scholar has an entire team working to determine the specific supports that are best suited for him or her. While MTSS does encompass these 3 domains, today I'm just going to focus on how we provide the tiered academic support here at Compass. So this graphic I love. It really explains the different tiers within MTSS. We have Tier 1, which is universal for all scholars, and then Tier 2, which is supplemental support for some, and Tier 3, which is intensive support for a few. In MTSS, when talking about the academic supports, we often talk about RTI, response to instruction and intervention. It's an approach that focuses on individual scholars who are struggling academically, and all the stakeholders pool together resources to promote the scholar's success before they fall more behind. It's systematic and data-driven with tiered levels of intervention to benefit every scholar. And that's what's so beautiful about MTSS. In all the domains, it involves all stakeholders, teachers, learning coaches, counselors, coordinators, tutors, so on, all collaborating together to best support each scholar. The conversations are always happening. Last year, before school even started, a teacher reached out to me, and she and I, along with a resource specialist, we met to discuss the best way to support a scholar's growth in reading. We came up with a plan. The teacher created a scope and sequence that mirrored the resource group, and together we all determined what was the best way to support this scholar. And the beauty is, the conversation is not one and done. It's ongoing throughout the year. We are invested in your scholar. I'm now going to go through each tier individually so you get an idea of what happens at each level. So as I mentioned, all scholars receive Tier 1 support in their classes. So approximately 80% of a scholar population qualify as needing only Tier 1. This is rigorous grade level instruction with differentiation as needed. Tier 2 serves scholars needing more help, about 15% of the school population. Extra instruction and support often are provided to these scholars in small groups. Tier 2 support is needed when there are small skill gaps identified, either by a diagnostic assessment or a teacher's progress monitoring. So sometimes this support does happen with a content area or supervising teacher. It's extra instruction and evidence-based support. If identified by the initial STAR diagnostic, scholars who need Tier 2 support will be invited to small group math and/or reading intervention tutoring. In these sessions, they will receive targeted instruction via Freckle. Okay. Tier 3 is support for scholars who need intensive support in order to succeed. This is about 5% of the scholar population. It's extra instruction and support provided often in even smaller groups or sometimes one-on-one, so scholars receive the individualized attention they need. Similar to scholars in need of Tier 2 support identified by that initial diagnostic, scholars who need Tier 3 will be invited to resource groups with our credentialed resource specialists. Okay, so as mentioned, we have universal screening to initially identify scholars in need of Tier 2 and Tier 3 academic supports. This will be done the first 2 weeks of school using the STAR Renaissance diagnostic. Scholars will take the STAR test 2 more times, mid-year and end of year, in order to monitor progress and growth. The main data point that we use to invite scholars to the intervention sessions is this STAR test. So any scholar identified as intervention, which is yellow, or urgent intervention, which will be red, will receive an invitation from my team. And this is why it's hugely important that scholars do take this test with fidelity. We use this data as our starting point when it comes to providing that academic support. If a test score isn't accurate, I recommend testing again. A scholar can test as often as possible. If a scholar does not qualify for tutoring, but a teacher or a learning coach is noticing skill gaps, implement an evidence-based strategy and monitor their progress. If the scholar doesn't respond, we absolutely will look at placing them in intervention according to the scholar's needs based on that data. Now let's look closer at what these supports from our team look like. So tutoring at Compass. Let's talk tutoring. As I mentioned, it was my role for 2 years at Compass, and it is the best job. We host weekly small group sessions that are grouped by grade and skill level for both math and reading. The groups are based on the STAR diagnostic as well as teacher identification. It's a fun learning opportunity for scholars to get support in areas of need of strengthening. And it's just really a joyful learning community. This year, we will continue to use Freckle as our curriculum for scholars working with the tutors, and those working with Mrs. Solons and Mrs. Darley will use IXL. Kinder through second grade scholars in need of that foundational literacy support will work in LaLilo, which is more targeted towards those early literacy skills. So all the groups focus on strengthening skills necessary for accessing grade level curriculum. Important to note, this is not homework help. It's going to be below grade level. I really like to use the analogy of a road that's just riddled with potholes. So many scholars, I was one of them, had strategies to navigate around those potholes, but it takes longer to get to the end. So our sessions, our support really helps fill in those potholes for a smoother, easier, and definitely a more enjoyable ride. So once that test window closes, we gather all the data and we see who is identified as needing targeted support in math or reading. I send out an initial email to let learning coaches, scholars, and teachers know that their scholar will be invited to intervention in either math or reading. Shortly after, the tutor or resource specialist will send her invitation email. This is the email with all the details about session times, days, focus. It will also include an RSVP link. This helps us manage our calendar invitations and session rosters, so please RSVP. Our team sends out weekly communication to scholars and learning coaches, and this includes session reminders with session details, links to slides and Nearpod lessons, recordings, and any other documents that can be used as a lesson aid. The recordings in Nearpod scholar-paced lessons can be used for asynchronous participation. Some of our scholars have scheduling conflicts, and they'll use this option to still benefit from the math or reading support. Also worth noting, our team uses focus mode during instructional time. Not only is this a great way to reduce distraction, but it allows our scholars who are a little bit more timid to turn on their camera without being seen by others. The teacher can see everybody, but scholars only see the teacher. Now, that said, we do give our scholars time before and after instruction to see one another and to interact. And in fact, it's so great. So many of our scholars respond to our end of year survey saying they love being able to come each week and connect with their friends. Our sessions really do create a tight-knit community of learners. We're always really excited to dive into the data at the end of the school year and see how much our tutoring scholars have grown. Overall, we have found that scholars who were identified as needing tiered intervention and attended our MTSS supports show more growth than those who do not. I really want to highlight the scholars who participated asynchronously. So I mentioned this on the last slide, but this option was introduced 2 years ago, and it was really more utilized last year. It's great for scholars with packed schedules, scheduling conflicts, or who are even going to miss a week here or there. Scholars do not have to miss out on the learning. So as mentioned, we send out that Nearpod lesson and recording every Friday. Our asynchronous scholars complete the scholar-paced Nearpod lesson. They watch the recording, and they'll do their extra work in Freckle, IXL, or LaLilo. Many async scholars take advantage of office hours and sign up for some extra time to get their individual questions answered or some additional support. So even our scholars who participated in this way showed growth, and we're really excited to continue to provide this opportunity to our scholars. So I always like to end with a few quotes from our surveys, and I'll let you read these. We survey our learning coaches and scholars at the end of the school year to help us really refine our practices and increase the effectiveness of our supports. And I mean, even thinking about it, I just start to choke up every time I read about the impact that our team has on Compass scholars. And my all-time favorite is it helped me realize that I could do things that I've never done before. We are doing our job when scholars realize how smart they really are. So I'm now going to pass it over to my wildly talented colleague, Dawn Reinders, and she'll tell you more about some additional ways we support scholars here at Compass.
Hi everyone, my name is Dawn Reinders and I'm the Scholar Support Coordinator here at Compass. I'm happy to introduce myself and let you know about some of the programs I oversee. The Scholar Support Team, or the SST program, brings together a team to create an action plan tailored to each scholar's specific needs. We work to support them in their academic journey, ensuring they have the resources to succeed. I also oversee our Section 504 plans. These are our scholars who have disabilities that are in our general education program. These are scholars who need accommodations to access their curriculum and activities successfully, but do not require special education services. Whether a disability is physical or mental, if it affects a scholar's ability to learn alongside their peers, a Section 504 plan can help. My goal is to ensure that these barriers are addressed and that a plan is in place to support them. I'm here to help, and I look forward to partnering with you if needed to ensure a successful year. Now I'll turn this back over to my colleague, Melissa Mayer.
Okay, Upchieve. We are thrilled to announce a fantastic new resource for our middle school and high school scholars. Upchieve is a completely free online tutoring program. One of the biggest advantages of Upchieve is its on-demand availability. This means scholars can access tutoring 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whenever they need help. It's not just during school hours. It's incredibly accessible. Scholars can connect with Upchieve tutors from any device, whether it's a computer, tablet, or even their smartphone. And for even easier access, they can log in directly through Clever. Upchieve covers a wide range of key subjects that our 6th through 12th grade scholars might need support with. And this includes core subjects like math, science, English, and social studies. And Upchieve also provides support for SAT and ACT test prep and comprehensive college counseling. Scholars will be able to add Upchieve to the Upchieve app to their favorite resource within Clever. Okay, so let's take a moment to look at our WOW schedule together. The first week was all about building excitement and connection. We had our welcome back events, orientations, and special open houses hosted by our departments and programs. Those were wonderful opportunities for our families to meet staff, ask questions, and feel truly welcomed back into our Compass community. As we move into week 2, the focus continues on giving our families the tools they need for a strong start. In addition to our presentation today, our assessment and EL departments have prepared some fantastic sessions designed to share helpful information and resources. The goal is to make sure every scholar feels supported and ready to shine as we begin this new school year. In the event that you missed any of our WOW sessions, the link in the chat has our Weeks of Welcome library to access any session recordings and slide decks from our WOW offerings. Okay, and if you have any questions regarding our MTSS intervention program, please reach out to me, Melissa Mayer, if you have any questions regarding the Scholar Study Team program or Section 504 plans, please reach out to Don Reinders. And we'd like to thank you all for joining us here today, and we wish you so much success in the 25-26 school year.